I think a new factor is that the computer has devised creative moves that were never used before that have now been implemented. They're part of like general strategy, which I think they thought was very shocking.
So
see if you can find anything.
Is it like
about
kind of
that.
bluffing moves, or
I do not know because I don't understand Go. I was just reading an article about the extraordinary leaps that AI has taken, and that one of the more shocking things was that it was able to beat the best players at Go, which they thought was like a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the movie AlphaGo, and I mean,
How long ago was that?
That's like maybe like 6-7 years ago.
See, in AI time, that's like Stone Ages, which is so crazy.
And I think like a year or two later, there was AlphaZero in chess. So chess engines, they were always like kind of built by humans and instructed by humans. And then AlphaZero came along, and which is a neural network that just learned chess on its own, and it became more or less as good, or maybe slightly worse than the best traditional chess engines. What's interesting is that the neural networks played chess a lot more like humans. They were much less concerned about material factors. They were more about like positional play and long-term thinking and so on, because it was not based on brute force in the way that that traditional engines would. And you would see funny, like they have computer tournaments as well with the best engine in the world, and you will still see like Leela Zero, that's sort of the clone of AlphaZero because they discontinued the AlphaZero project after a while. It will make like elementary tactical blunders, almost.
That's crazy.
Because I don't know, it doesn't have, it just thinks about chess differently than traditional engines, but it will also like do things that just confounds the very best chess engines in the world still. So that's very interesting to see, and like all the best coaches and players now when you work with chess computers, like you always have both like a neural net and a traditional chess engine running, as well as some others who are now like hybrid, who have a little bit of both.
It's just fascinating that it would make blunders.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's something about it, but it would also make some fascinating decisions. Like when you promote a pawn, like you usually promote to a queen, because that's almost always the best, unless you sometimes want to promote a knight specifically to give a check, or sometimes to avoid stalemate, but that's less frequent. But then what Leela and AlphaZero would sometimes do is that they would promote to a different piece, if it's a piece that's anyway going to be captured, just to give your opponent like a slight chance of making a mistake by making another move, which is something like a human would never ever do. But it's like, it's really funny. A little bit of a parallel to what's going on in Go, I think, with this gamesmanship that is going on with the new neural nets. So
that's crazy that it would just trick you.
Yeah, it would try and trick you. Like, it probably wouldn't trick a human, because a human would be like, that's weird. Okay, I'll just take it, whatever. But another engine, oh, okay. Well, I have another alternative that seems equivalent, more or less. Maybe I'll go for that. Wow. It's very strange.
So what are the best programs that people play on?
There's one that was originally developed by Norwegian called Stockfish, that's still considered the best. So I think the best now is Stockfish, like Stockfish Hybrid, that's part neural and part traditional engine. And then I think...
do you have to be connected online to use that?
Yeah, I mean, most people use remote engines, like some kind of cloud service, to have as much computing power as possible.
So the kind of computing power that's on your phone, like, can you beat your phone at the highest level?
No. No chance.
Isn't that crazy? That's so
no
crazy.
Chance.
That's
no
so
chance.
crazy, because Deep Blue, wasn't it like as big as a room?
Yeah.
Deep Blue was like a stack of computers, right?
But I'm sure it's still less powerful than the computer on your phone is today, right?
I know, it's just shocking.
No, I have no chance against against my phone. There was
That's so crazy.
there was actually one time where I played corporate simul, and there was this guy who said, I built a chess program in my university class. Can I let that play against you again instead of myself? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I actually like beat it fairly handily because I played some kind of like anti-computer chess where I just close up the position as much as possible and just let it have as few possibilities as possible to outcalculate me, so that it's a purely strategical game. That doesn't work against very good engines, but it can work against weaker ones. There was a grandmaster who played a match recently against Leela, which is like the best neural network engine now. They were playing classical chess, and he started with a knight more. And they played a 10 game match, and he won 5.5 to 4.5.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Like, it's a knight more. Like, it should not be possible for any. Like, if God was playing chess, that shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to beat a grandmaster in any game like that. So the grandmaster was still able to win. But yeah, for me, I rarely play against engines at all because they just make me feel so stupid and useless. So I think about it more as a tool, or more than anything else. And often, like, when you play against them, the moves that they make, they are not necessarily relevant as to what a human would do in that situation, because we just think differently.
Do you ever try to think like the computer?
Yeah, well, specifically the neural nets have improved our understanding of the game immensely. And the AlphaZero paper came out very late 2018. And actually, I played a World Championship match late 2018 as well against an American, Fabiano Caruana. That was the best match I think that I've ever played. We played 12 draws, actually, and then I won in a tiebreak. But like, the games were super high quality, and he was very evenly matched. And then he was actually using Leela, the AlphaZero clone, which we didn't have access to. Like, we didn't even know that was the thing. But the thing is, like, after AlphaZero came out in late 2018, there was a period, half a year maybe, early 2019, where you could very clearly see which players have been using these neural networks or knew how to use them, and which players didn't. And my coach, he got into it very quickly, and we got an advantage of basically everybody but that guy who had been using it during the match. And it just made us understand the game a lot better. There were, as I said, like, a couple of things about long-term king safety. Pushing pawns on the side of the board was maybe the biggest takeaway, that often you would push pawns and not as an attacking tool, which used to be the way that you would push a pawn, like trying to break open your king. What you would do is that you would have a little hook on the side of the board that you could use 20 or 30 moves later to make your king, like to make the opponent's king less safe then. And this is something that humans didn't really do, and I still see some people like allowing these pawn advances, and I don't like. I wonder if they didn't learn their lesson from 2019. But it was very clear to see at a certain time, before everybody sort of caught up with the new information, and that's also when I had maybe my best stretch of chess ever, because I just understood these new things better than others.
It's almost counterintuitive that you wouldn't want to play the computer because the computer makes you look stupid. Because the idea in my mind would be like, well, you should play the best thing that you could possibly play. And if that's a computer, great. If that's another human being, then play the human being. But I would imagine that playing something that makes you feel stupid would, at the very least, teach you something about the game.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, like, you know that these are usually things that humans cannot replicate.